Welcome into Leather Brains. Your host, Slapdog here, and this is an action-packed episode. NFL free agency is in absolute full swing, and we've got a lot to discuss today. I have Alan Casanova Castro back with us after his extended extra week of vacation, and Scotty Del Rey. Gentlemen, how are we doing today?
Ooh. Are we going to have enough time to talk about everything that's happening, or are we just...
I don't know.
What do we plan on doing?
This might be like a 6-hour episode.
How many breaking news headlines do you expect to come out while we're talking?
Probably at least... Yeah, I was going to say at least 7. At least
I'm going to keep... I'll
keep track. I'll keep track as we record.
If any breaking news happens whilst recording, Alan, you're in charge of the breaking news.
We're gonna miss it all.
We're going to miss everything. Alan, how was your vacation, by the way? Before we get into all the NFL free agency talk, how you been?
I've been good, man. I was away for work. It made me travel for a week, and it...
Well, Scotty, on his 2-week hiatus, he went to like Portugal and somewhere else and basically saved everyone's life.
Did you?
And became a chess master. It's crazy.
You're not
actually very busy.
You're not actually legally allowed in Lisbon anymore. That's what I heard. So
yeah. Don't bring it up.
Lisbon?
Sorry. Yeah.
Where's Lisbon?
In Portugal.
Why can't I? Oh, I would have. If you would, if that was like a trivia night thing, I was host.
He leveled the city. How'd chess go, Scotty?
Okay. What were my goals? My goals were to win one game and to not totally blow it. I accomplished one of those goals and failed at the other goal. Which one do you think is which?
I'm going to say you lost all your games, but you didn't blow it.
Alan?
That's what I was going to say. You didn't win anything, but you didn't like totally blow it.
No, I did win a game.
Oh, nice.
I drew 2 games. I played 5. I drew 2. I won 1. I lost 2. The 2 that I lost were against the 2 highest rated players that I played, and I was winning both of those games and totally blew it. So it's like
you blew it.
I got mixed emotions because I didn't know if I was going to go in and just get fucking smoked and be outclassed, and I didn't feel like that at all. I was competing in every single game.
Where was this at? Knights of Columbus?
No, it was at the
Metro
campus.
Oh, okay. I don't know where chess tournaments happen. Knights of
Columbus
is like a good first place.
Knights of the Columbus is a good guess for sure.
I think so too. Sometimes you play in churches and stuff, so it's right along those lines. But yeah, ultimately, I feel pretty stupid for like 3 total moves out of the tournament, but feel very good about the way I competed and feel like I was right there with everybody.
Is chess a godly game?
That's a weird question. But
Did
sure.
God invent chess?
No, the Indians invented chess, and they believe in like 12 gods, and they all have 17 arms, I think.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about Thanksgiving. Okay,
No, not
so
those
what?
The Indians from India.
Oh, those
Not
Indians,
Native Americans.
not the Native
Not
American
Native Americans.
Indians.
Not Native Americans.
They did not invent chess, that I know of.
Yeah,
Maybe they
I
did.
guess. I don't know. Touche. I don't know either. Okay, before we jump into NFL free agency, I do want to let all of the Brainiacs know that we are giving away a free signed DJ Moore jersey. It's a Bears jersey. It's super easy to get entered to win. All you got to do is go over to Instagram, follow @LeatherBrains, and just share the post. Be following us and like it. It is that simple to do. Once again, we are giving away a free signed DJ Moore jersey for March Gladness because we're trying to bring some happiness and smiles to the Brainiac community. So go over to our Instagram page, give us a follow, share the post, like it, and you are entered to win a free signed DJ Moore jersey. Thank you for the hype, man. Background, Scotty. I appreciate that.
Got you.
Okay, let's just jump into this because there's so much to talk about today. So we'll start out with the big boys up front, the linemen, because there's been some discussion about the linemen, both defensive and offensive, that I think we need to talk about. So let's start out with arguably the best defensive lineman in the NFL right now, Mr. Myles Garrett. Gentlemen, if you're going to lose in football, at least get a bag doing it. You know, Myles Garrett. This is almost comical. This entire saga of Myles Garrett. He requested a trade. He said, "Hey, I want out of the Browns. I want to go win a Super Bowl ring, and I want to compete. And the Browns aren't going to give me the opportunity to do that. What the Browns would give him the opportunity to do, though, however, is make a shit ton of money because Garrett signs the highest non-quarterback deal in NFL history, which will get broken again probably next season, if not this
Probably
season.
tomorrow.
The cap, maybe even tomorrow. The cap space.
I think Max Crosby had it for like 3 days.
He did, which is kind of he kind of got hosed because, like, I mean, that was really great for him. And then a couple days later, Myles Garrett really took it from him. But Garrett got paid $40 million per year with $123 million in guarantees. So this makes me really sad because Myles Garrett basically proved that money, in fact, may be more important than a Super Bowl. I wanted Myles Garrett to go anywhere else and compete. The Browns are so far away from being a competitive team. Myles Garrett's the only piece that they have, right? Like, I mean, that is anything worth value that other teams would pay an astronomical price for. And instead of trading him and going under a full rebuild like you absolutely need to do, you say, hey, we're going to sign this guy. We're going to keep him for the rest of his career that he is sustainable as a high-end defensive lineman. It's just a waste of talent. And it's a waste of space for the Browns because there's absolutely no way they're going to be competitive this year or next year or probably the year thereafter. I was really disappointed in this because I really wanted to see Myles Garrett go somewhere. So #free Myles Garrett.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense from the Browns' perspective. We talked about it last week, but it's like, you guys are fucking host. And I know they restructured the whole Deshaun Watson contract, but I'm just going to tell you this. Any amount of money you're paying Deshaun Watson is a waste of money. So you are just throwing all of the remaining dollars at this one piece, which obviously is a great piece. Anybody would be happy to have him. But Myles Garrett ain't going to win you any Super Bowls when you don't have anyone else and you're paying Deshaun Watson all this money. Like, it's just very, very stupid. And going into a full rebuild seems like the only thing that makes sense for this organization. And they're just like, nah, we'd rather keep this one guy. I like him.
I think anybody in the AFC was, or at least in that division, was hoping he was going to be gone. I think for the AFC, if you're an AFC contender, if you weren't going to get him, the best case scenario was he just stayed on that team. So for everybody else, you're like, cool, he can just hang out in Cleveland. He's not going to. He's going to impact the game, but that team, you can overcome him on the Browns. You wouldn't be able to overcome him. Let's say if he landed with the Bills, like you put him on the Bills. Now you have to overcome Josh Allen and you have to overcome Myles Garrett. Like, you don't get a break. At least on the Browns, you get a break for one possession where the offense is on the field. You're like, oh, thank God we don't have to worry about him because he's getting a breather on the sideline. I think for me, it's just if you're looking to re-sign anybody, and I know we'll talk about a few teams and one in particular, the Bengals. This is awful news, some of these signings that are happening, because you still have to pay Hendrickson. You still have to pay Jamar Chase. You still have to pay T. Higgins. Jamar Chase has already come out and said he wants the highest non-quarterback contract available. And if you're the Bengals, last season would have been the season to do it because now he just led the NFL in yards, touchdowns, receptions. So now you really have to pay. And so this Myles Garrett, all this does is it makes every other team that still hasn't signed their players yet, they're just sitting there like, well, damn it. Now this is the new benchmark. And I think that's beyond him just being on the Browns. I think what it did for the rest of the NFL is kind of hosed a lot of front offices.
Well, you mentioned Trey Hendrickson, like the Bengals in general are just, their front office is abysmal because if they would have paid these guys ahead of time, they would have gotten ahead of the curve. And now here we are. And the cap space is a myth. We all know that here, but it continues to climb. It continues to go up. And these players demand more and more money. And it's like, if you just would have paid them before we got to this point, you would not be facing the situation that you're in now. Scotty, you have your hand raised like an astute gentleman. What do you have to say?
Hand raised on this.
Well, it's funny because I was raising my hand to not interrupt you to ask how I should be interrupting whenever we have new breaking news because we got our first one.
Just go ahead.
Well, I'm thinking maybe I should make a noise.
Did I already mess this up?
I like that.
Okay.
Scotty with the breaking news.
Zach Wilson to the Dolphins.
Oh, Lord.
Backup quarterback behind Tua.
You stopped us for that?
It's the first breaking news. I was excited. It's the first one that came up.
Honestly, I mean, there's a chance he's going to see the field this year because Tua's notorious for the brain scrambles. So, congrats, I guess.
Does the backup quarterback in Miami, this is not a good joke. I shouldn't say this, but I'm going to say it.
All right,
are they, legally responsible to, spoon feed Tua if he gets another concussion? Do they have to take care of him, wheel him around and stuff?
Yeah.
I think that's probably
that seems like a good job for Zach Wilson anyway.
Yeah, maybe.
We're going to get canceled.
My question is, how many moms are in Miami? You think about the mother population of the city of Miami. You just basically
they might be a little too old because I think when I think Florida, I think young Latinas and I think 90-year-old retirees.
And they got,
That's a
like,
great.
wrinkly
That's a
skin.
great pool of women for
Just jump
Zach
back
Wilson,
and
in my
forth
opinion.
between generation. Talk about TikTok and then talk about World War II.
Yeah.
You're going to be well versed in all the events.
Yeah, he can do whatever he wants. That's like, I mean, as a recovering addict like Zach Wilson is, I just don't know how smart that is to go right into the pit
going right into the
of
lines
the
then,
temptations.
I
Yeah,
thought you meant you were as a recovering addict. That's what I was like, oh, which group are you recovering from?
do the breaking news sounder again. I'm gonna tell everybody right now on this podcast that I'm a recovering something.
MILF addict.
MILF hunter.
Cool.
Okay, back
What
to
were
the
we even
lineman.
talking about?
So, Trey Hendrickson, you kind of brought this up, Alan, is like he's now given permission by the Bengals to seek a trade. And it stated that, the Bengals would love to have Hendrickson, but he's coming up in the final season of his contract. And it's looking like the Bengals are not going to be able to afford Hendrickson because of the price that we've seen Crosby get and now Myles Garrett get. And the fact that, they franchise tag T. Higgins again. Jamar's still looking for his payday. So, like, there's no.
Yeah.
The cap space isn't real, but there's no money to go around for Trey.
Yeah, I mean the crappy thing is Mike Brown, the Bengals owner, is a notorious cheap bastard. So he doesn't want to pay anybody anything, and he'll drag his feet for as long as he can. And if they would have paid Jamar Chase in the offseason last year, they'd have been looking at maybe 34, 35 million a year. Well, Garrett's already at 40 million per year, so he wants more than that. So now you're really hosed. I think there maybe was a path if they got ahead of this where the Bengals would have been able to keep some of their stars, but it's like, you're going to lose Hendrickson, which is pretty much the only thing going for that defense on a defense that did nothing last year, and now you're going to maybe sign Higgins and Chase, and they're just in a weird spot right now for them to continue to move forward. And I know that it's a team game, but when you have a quarterback, when you have your star already sitting there in Burrow, you want to be able to surround him with a good team. And I just don't know if the Bengals are going to be able to do that. It's just like a weird spot. I just see this ending in like some weird divorce between Joe Burrow and the Bengals organization because he doesn't feel like they're committed to actually winning. I just peeling back layers. I don't know shit from anything, but it's just what it feels like based on like where this front office was going and how they handle things.
They have to hit on their draft this year. I mean, that's what it boils down to. Is like they have to hit on some key defensive pieces this year, or else the show's over. Micah Parsons, he's a player to watch to potentially get traded as well. I mean, Myles set the precedent at $40 million. Micah Parsons still doesn't have a deal done with the Cowboys, and they still got to pay CD. They paid Dak, and this kind of goes back to what I just mentioned. Is like if you just pay these guys before all these record-breaking contracts hit, just pay him.
That's a lesson that is specifically targeted at Jerry Jones. Like, I don't understand how many times he has to go through this before he's overpaying for running backs and quarterbacks and D linemen, and he's like, wait a minute, what kind of pattern got me into this situation? Because it's going to happen again. Like, it's just a nonstop recurring event in Jerry Jones's life.
Yeah.
Von Miller.
That's definitely the lesson before you get into Von. That's definitely the lesson here for any front office. Just when you're into it, just pay them. You're not going to get a deal. You're not. No. There's no deal to be had. If they're at the top, they're going to demand the top. And this is exactly what happened in 2022 when Hill ended up getting traded because the wide receiver market got reset because everybody was like fast and furiously signing all these contracts. And like this is the same thing that's happened to the D line. Basically, you have Myles set it. Nobody thought that was going to happen, and then everybody else is like, "Well, what do we do now? This is a luxury we can no longer afford." And they're just going to see all these D linemen shuffling. We've already seen it.
100%. And then we have Von Miller. He was cut by the Bills, created almost $9 million in cap space. Rumor has it that the Bills would like to re-sign him, but Von Miller is now a free agent. Von's getting kind of old, right? So, like, I makes sense. I see a lot of Broncos fans asking Von to come back over and hang out with Sean Payton.
Gross.
This is the weirdest storyline. The Broncos fans rooting for the Bills because Von Miller happened to be on that team was it's always such a weird thing for me. He's gone. Move on. Yeah. He's moved on. You move on. Stop rooting for other teams.
I think it would make a lot of sense for Von to just re-sign with the Bills because Von's, he's a good player. He's not at the top of the league anymore in terms of the position, and he can afford to take a pay cut and play with Josh Allen some more and get some wins. Like if I was him, I'd be like, I only have a few years left. Let me do some ring chasing, and I don't need top dollar to do that.
The Broncos are fun though.
Yeah,
I'm just throwing it out there.
I mean, they are fun, but I don't want to spend.
risky.
I don't want to spend the last few years of my career with a young quarterback. I'd rather when you got Josh Allen. Like, I mean, if you're on any other team, okay,
Yeah.
it seems appealing, but you got Josh Allen. Like,
this is good. We're weaving in many things into this discussion. If you're a betting man and you're looking at the Broncos team, and you're Von Miller, is it more likely that they have a regression? The Broncos, is it more likely they have a regression? They meet the same, which is they got into the wild card, or they improve and maybe they make it to the divisional round? Like, what's most probable for the Broncos going into next year?
I see him going divisional.
You see him taking a step forward?
Yes. I think there's going to be a lot that goes into that. They're going to have to draft well. They need to get Bo Nix some weapons, but Bo Nix looked really good with a lackluster team around him.
that's the problem, though, is that I think they raised expectations, which is good. I mean, you ultimately want to have a performance that does that. But when you raise expectations, the likelihood that you are a little disappointed is much higher. And I could see them sort of being stagnant a little bit. Unless they make some serious moves, which could very well happen. With that same roster, just because Bo Nix has a season under his belt, I don't see him taking a massive step forward. So I think it's more than likely going to be about the same, where they're kind of eking into the playoffs.
Yeah. The one thing you cross your fingers for Bo is he doesn't have a sophomore slump.
Yeah.
That there's not enough film on there. There wasn't some tell he had. There wasn't something where there's enough tape for somebody to get a hold of him and he doesn't have a slump. That's what you want. You want him to get better. That's going to be it. If he
needs weapons.
He needs to get better. He needs to get better. That's what it is. It's like, good, you have good. This is exactly what happened to why can't I think of names right now? But this is exactly what happened with the Texans in Stroud. He had a great first season. Everything looked up, and then you have to get better. And he didn't necessarily get better. He was pretty good, but it was kind of the same, and you saw what kind of was happening with that team. There's injuries there too, but I think there's a lot to be said that Bo Nix can't be the Bo Nix he was last year. He has to take that step forward for them to move on, and that's going to be the question of the year for them. And so for Vaughn, getting back to our on-topic discussion, I don't know where he goes. I mean, he was pretty much on the team that I would want to be on if I'm trying to get a ring. So,
yeah. Well, and you mentioned C.J. Stroud, so Laremy Tunsil. His 5-time Pro Bowl left tackle, Laremy Tunsil, was traded to the Commanders for a 2nd and a 4th round pick, plus a 3rd round pick this year in return for Tunsil and a 4th round pick. So the Texans, they did give up the 3rd most sacks in the NFL last season at 54. So you talk about the sophomore slumps, maybe that offensive line was part of that problem. And obviously there's certainly some conversation to be had about maybe Stroud holding the ball a little too long, but being tied for the 3rd most sacks in the NFL is certainly not a statistic that you're really happy about. So the Commanders, and we'll talk more about some other moves that they're making, but Commanders seem to be really going all in, which I kind of like. I mean, it makes sense. They're under a rookie contract. Like, let's surround him with talent and let's try and make a deep push here. So I like this move. Laremy Tunsil, he's like I mentioned, he's been a 5-time Pro Bowler. So the guy is very familiar with how to play the game at a high level, and they needed good offensive line help. So this makes sense, I think. And then the last piece of lineman news, I just had to sneak this in here because I'm a Cardinals fan, is Josh Sweat. He signed a 4-year deal worth up to $76.4 million with the Arizona Cardinals in reunites with the head goober himself, Jonathan Gannon, who was his defensive coordinator when he was with the Eagles. So I like this. I'm excited for this. We needed some defensive line help pretty bad, and Josh Sweat is he's like a Super Bowl winning defensive lineman, so I'll take it. Not a bad sign for us, and we need all the help we can get. So let's go over to the more interesting stuff that's going on, that being quarterbacks, because there's a lot of stuff going on here with these quarterbacks. And we'll start with something that I think surprised a lot of people, certainly surprised myself, is Geno Smith. The Seahawks traded Geno Smith to the Raiders for a 3rd round pick, once again pairing Geno with Pete Carroll. Gentlemen, is Geno Smith going to write back again? What do we think?
In Vegas. I think for Pete Carroll, I'd be interested to see what the discussion was, because he very obviously wanted something where he was familiar with, and I think he liked some of the things that Geno did. I don't know if I think this stabilizes them to some degree. I think they're obviously a little bit better in that department, and you have Brock Bowers there, which it doesn't matter who's throwing to him, he's going to find the football, and so now you maybe have somebody a little bit more competent. I think this is a good bridge scenario for the Raiders, I know Yeti and I were talking about it when we were texting. Like this is kind of what you want to do. You want to sign a good quarterback, but you don't have to shoot for the moon, and something that kind of holds you together so you can make the moves necessary for the rest of your team. And they can get younger. They got their D-line. They signed some key pieces back to their D-line like Max Crosby. And I think Geno Smith kind of stabilizes that. And now they can go after and really get some additional weapons and then beef up the O-line. Like that's where they can spend their dollars and their draft picks right now to try to hit. So I think it's smart. I think it's good for them. Like you don't make this move to win a Super Bowl. You make this move because you're setting yourself up for the future. And I think that's what this does.
My question is about Geno Smith generally, because, he's had a bit of a roller coaster of a career where obviously he was electric at West Virginia, and then he came to the NFL, kind of fell off the bandwagon, and then revitalized himself with the Seahawks. If you're the Raiders, you're looking for a bridge quarterback. Everybody knows that. Your goal is to find a long-term solution. Does Geno Smith complicate that because of where he's at in his career, where, he hasn't been lighting the league on fire, or he didn't light it on fire last year, but he's been playing pretty freaking well. So it's almost like, okay, he's like right in the middle between being a bridge quarterback or being someone that you kind of hope might do well enough that you can keep him for a relatively long period. And I don't know if that confuses the Raiders' plans going forward. I mean, obviously, if he comes out and performs really well, Raiders fans are going to be happy, but does that make it confusing for what they want to do, in the relative long term, 6 years down the line?
Well,
I think. No, go ahead.
I understand both trains of thought from both of you. I don't know what the Raiders are doing. Like, I really don't. And I think this draft is going to be a tall tale sign of, like, kind of what Alan alluded to, like, build up your offensive line. Geno Smith is 34 years old. And we knew when he signed, I believe it was a 3-year deal with the Seahawks after Russell Wilson. We knew he was a bridge quarterback with the Seahawks. So I'm not surprised that they moved on from him, but I am slightly surprised that the Raiders took him, because let's also not forget Pete Carroll's on a 3-year deal too. So, and he's not you talk about not getting any younger. Pete Carroll's approaching, I want to say 80. So like,
is he a bridge coach? Is that a thing that's real now?
I think it might be. There's some concern there for me. But once again, like, what other choice did the Raiders have, right? Like, were you going to go sign Sam Darnold? And we'll talk about that here in just a moment. And so Geno, I would rather have Geno than Sam Darnold, to be quite honest. And it was also rumored that the Seahawks offered both Geno and DK Metcalf for Max Crosby, and the Raiders declined it. Do you guys think that would have been worth it for the Raiders to also get DK, Geno, Brock Bowers, and you depart with Max Crosby? Or like, where do you draw your line in the sand on that trade?
If you gave me the button... Hold on, let me see this. I'm going to do this in real time. How old is Max Crosby?
I want to say he's 27, 28.
He's 27. He's 27 years old. That's tough, because he is what, if you were to like go into a lab and be like, I'm going to make me a Raiders player, it's pretty much Max Crosby. Like he is the Raiders. And that's also tough for an organization that sometimes struggles with identity. I think losing a player like that kind of puts you back in that mode of like, oh, okay. I thought Max was kind of our mainstay. I think Max was kind of like a non-negotiable for them. I don't think they wanted to go anywhere with him. If you gave me the button, though, I probably would have.
I probably would have too.
I probably would have moved. I probably would have, because now my offense is looking mighty sweet, and I can recreate some pieces of what Max Crosby brings to the table. He was in and out with some injury issues as well. Like, I don't know. I think that's kind of the gamble if you're a GM, is where does the shelf life, like where does the cliff fall off for some of these players, and you try to get ahead of it. Now, DK, I don't like the sum individually. I don't know if it's that sexy, but together I'm kind of like I might take that with Brock Bowers.
I think Max Crosby just falls into that sort of untouchable category, obviously because he's a star on the field, but also because it brings the culture to the team. Like when he's on the field, like the Raiders have a defensive identity, and I don't think you can replace that with any number of pieces. When you have that, it's like a really special thing. That's why I almost think it's a similar conversation to Myles Garrett, but I think it's a little bit different, because as great as Myles Garrett is, he's not the identity of the team, right? When you think about the Browns, you think about, holy shit, everything's falling apart, it's crazy, it's chaos. When you think about the Raiders, you think, okay, Max Crosby is going to talk his shit, and it's going to be fun to watch, and he's going to get everybody else on the field hyped up. I think the Raiders value that like quite a bit, and I don't blame them for doing it. So, but still, their future is very fuzzy.
Yeah, no, it is. Derek Carr, the Saints are looking to press forward with Carr as their starting quarterback this upcoming season. GM Mikey Loomis stated that they believe they have a quarterback that they can win with. He didn't say how many games, because I think that would be rather embarrassing for him to say how many games.
Win at what?
Yeah, win. Yeah. I
Win
don't know.
at giving wide receivers concussions.
Win at wearing eyeliner.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's good at that.
Making kids.
Win at making kids. I think I'm not surprised by this because the Saints are still in cap purgatory. So, you signed Derek Carr, which I thought was a stupid move to begin with. But they signed him, and they really have no other options because they can't afford to do anything else anyway. So you're just going to roll with Derek Carr.
I think
sense.
The thing to note here for Derek Carr is that the move created like $30 million in space, and the Saints, just like you said, they're in cap space hell. So I think this makes sense. I think this is more a money move. I don't even think it mattered what the name of the jersey was. I think they just had to make a move to create some money, create some space, and they can move on. I don't know how long they're going to go through this ebbs and flow routine, but I think all they were doing there was just restructuring him, signing him so that way they can create, because he was on a 4-year deal, so it's fine. Like you're not telling anybody anything they didn't already know, but I think now they just have some more money in their pockets.
Yeah. Best news to come out of all of this is Tommy Cutlets, Mr. DeVito himself. He re-signs with the Giants. Let's go, baby. Let's go. If there's one thing we can count on, it's Tommy DeVito to show up for a couple snaps.
Name him the starter. There's lots of talk about all these other quarterbacks that we're going to bring up later on, but I wish they just say, no, we're not interested. Tommy Cutlets is our guy.
He's the man of the future.
They give him a 5-year contract, $150 million. Let's do it. Sam Darnold. This is to no surprise on anybody on this podcast. The Vikings are not signing or re-signing Sam Darnold. I think we had already kind of come to that conclusion. However, Sam Darnold did sign with the Seattle Seahawks for a 3-year, $110 million contract with $55 million in guarantees. I believe at least 40% of his salary is to go to Kevin O'Connell for making him a competent-looking quarterback. I don't like this signing for the Seahawks at all. I don't think Sam Darnold is a good quarterback. I think he had an outlier of a year with a Hall of Fame head coach in Kevin O'Connell. I think this was a bad move. I really do. But I think whoever signed Sam Darnold was going to have to pay this kind of money. Obviously, the Seahawks did. But you had Geno. You had Geno, and you let Geno walk, and you think Sam Darnold is a better option for you than Geno? I don't agree with that at all. But I'm curious to know, what do you guys think? Like, do you like the way this played out where Sam Darnold is now the starting quarterback for the Seahawks, or would you have rather had Geno Smith?
I think we need to get into the headspace of what's going on in the front office in Seattle. If you're a Seahawks fan right now, you're like, what the fuck? We just came off a 10-win season. Geno's been, exceeding all of our expectations the whole time he's been here. We've got weapons. And now everyone is gone. And it's like, okay, what's the long-term game plan? They're like full rebuild mode after winning 10 games. And it's like, I understand, but I also don't understand. And JSN's probably like, what the fuck? What happened? Like, I don't know. So, I mean, if the plan is to rebuild, I think Sam Darnold is a fine option because your goal is to get eventually a long-term solution. But they're very clearly not interested in winning now. So if you're not interested in winning now, signing Sam Darnold makes a whole lot of sense.
The thing I think about is imagine showing up to the stadium and you have to root for freaking Sam Darnold. Like that's your Sunday for like 3 hours. You're like, I got to cheer on. I mean this with all due respect if Sam Darnold's watching this. With all due respect. But if you walk in, you're like, I got to root for this goober for 3 hours. Like, what are we even doing?
For
what
the
is
next
this?
probably 2 years.
That's white flag. This is white flag territory for the Seahawks. There's like,
take a couple years off. Fans.
Everybody just hang tight. We'll be back in a few. We're just rebuilding. we'll let you know when you can come back. Just close the doors.
Well,
that's what this feels like.
And now with Sam Darnold going to the Seahawks, Aaron Rodgers, he was kind of touted as one of the quarterbacks that may land with the Seahawks. Rodgers, he may very well land at the Steelers. I know that the Steelers and the Giants, it's rumored that the Giants definitely want Aaron Rodgers, but it's now more of a question of if Rodgers wants to be with the Giants. if you were Aaron Rodgers, what part of you would want to go to the Giants over the Steelers? Is there any part of you?
Tommy Cutlets overshadowing your every move. Everyone's just like, move out of the way, Aaron Rodgers. We need to see the real prize here.
Can we get the Italian in here?
I don't understand. So I know the Jets are a dumpster fire, and they have been for my whole life. But when you look at the roster, I think that was Aaron Rodgers' one chance at being successful in the NFL going forward. So no matter who he ends up with, it just seems like it's going to be a shit show. The Giants are going to be a shit show. The Steelers probably also a shit show. I'd prefer the Steelers. I would prefer the Steelers, but I don't know.
I would say less of a shit show.
I don't know if Tomlin would put up with his shit, though. Tomlin runs a tight ship, and that would, of all the people that Tomlin's wrangled in, I think Rodgers would be his crown jewel of keeping
over Antonio Brown.
Yeah. Yes.
That's tough.
Think about Antonio Brown on Joe Rogan's podcast, by the way.
Listen, everything with Antonio Brown came out after the Steelers.
Yeah, that's a credit of how much Mike Tomlin caged that animal.
So what I'm saying is, if think about all the shit we hear about Rodgers year in and all the time, and getting people fired, and he's running everything like that. To me, that would be peak. Antonio Brown, as wild as he is, at least produced and will do something. I don't know. To me, Rodgers, all things considered, that would be a crown jewel. You said he was on Joe Rogan though?
Yeah, he went on. Yeah, I only listened to a little bit of it because, frankly, it's just I can only handle so much fucking stupidity. But he went on Joe Rogan's podcast, and of course, the first thing Joe Rogan asked him about is X.com. And he's like, yeah, I just try and use my platform to make people smile and bring awareness to people who overcome things. And I'm like, bro, what? Who are you trying to fool right now?
That was
I follow
PR
you.
move right there.
That is exactly the opposite of what you do. All you do is talk shit all the time. And yeah, it's hilarious and it does make me happy, but that he's trying to frame it like, yeah, I left the NFL. And by the way, they didn't even get into that in the time I listened to. He's like, yeah, I left the NFL and I wanted to start this thing where I bring awareness and make people happy and point out all the adversity that people overcome. I'm like, you're just making shit up. What the fuck?
Your account is literally called CTESPN. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's pretty funny. Josh Allen, gentlemen, this does not surprise me at all. He signs a record-breaking 6-year extension with the Bills for $330 million with $250 million in guarantees. Not surprised. And honestly, this is what we were talking about earlier in the show, where the Bills are getting ahead of this, right? They re-extended him. It was a 6-year extension. They went ahead and paid him now because guess what? The price next year is going to be higher, right? Patrick Mahomes is a wonderful example of this, where he signed a 10-year deal because the Chiefs had enough awareness to know, okay, this guy's a generational talent. Let's go ahead and get him under locks now. So when the price continues to go up, we still have this guy on lock. And the Bills took a chapter out of the Chiefs playbook there. Not surprised by this at all, right? Josh Allen is the epitome of the entire Bills team, and without him, the Bills are nothing. So not surprised, but I'm glad that the Bills have enough self-awareness to know that they need to sign Josh Allen and get him extended while they can and can still afford to do so. Mm-hmm. So I like this move. This next one is kind of interesting. It's Kirk O'Chains, baby. He met with the Falcons owner, Arthur Blank, and he is not expected to be released or traded by the Falcons at this time. My question to you, gentlemen, is it sounds like at this current juncture, Kirk Cousins is still going to be a Falcon. Is he relegated to the bench this upcoming season with the end of last season, Michael Penix coming in and taking over for him when they were still in playoff contention? Is Kirk O'Chains just a backup at this point? In your guys' mind?
Seems like he has to be. It seems like he has to be. They made the choice.
Yeah. I don't know what you get out of him. I think that Falcons was probably the ideal scenario for him to produce, and it didn't happen at all because he had weapons all over the place, and I don't know. Where you go from here.
Why don't you trade him?
I don't know where you go from here.
The Falcons have pretty much shown their hand that Michael Penix is going to be the guy because they benched Kirk Cousins while still in playoff contention last year, right? Why are you still holding on to Kirk Cousins? There are teams that need quarterbacks right now. Sell him for a 3rd-round pick. Be done with it. You screwed up by signing him to a 4-year deal, and now you're starting a rookie or a 2nd year now. why are you holding him on your roster? There is a team that would want him, and you could get compensation. Instead, you're going to say, you know what, I think we're okay. I think we'll hold him on the bench. Makes absolutely no sense to me, and further proves my point that I think Arthur Blank is a fucking idiot. Like, move on. I just don't understand that at all, because as we have continuously discussed, there are teams. I bet the Giants would want him over Tommy Cutlets.
Well, I don't know. That's crazy talk.
The Giants are like, we need to
crazy.
sell
That's
jerseys
crazy.
because we're not going to win any games. So we need Tommy DeVito.
DeVito is. I mean, you better be careful.
I should put more respect on his name. I'm so sorry.
That's
You need
MVP.
his agent to stick around. His agent can sell jerseys, no doubt about it.
Oh yeah, that guy can do anything.
Darius Slayton is returning to the Giants, by the way.
Oh,
I don't know if that's breaking
I didn't know that was breaking news until you did that, so I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Russell Wilson. He's still currently a free agent, gentlemen. At this juncture, by the time this hits the media, Wilson could have a home. But at this current moment, Russell Wilson is still a free agent, and it is rumors that the Titans are interested in him. I think the Titans are interested in any quarterback that's not named Will Levis. So,
Do you think Hellman's mayonnaise is going to pick him up if he goes to the Titans?
Depends on how much coffee he's drinking.
No, the Titans at this point like that one friend in your friend group that's like he's still virgin and basically he's interested in everybody. Like there's nobody off the table. You're just like, yeah, are you single? He's interested.
That chick has a heartbeat.
We're interested. Can you throw this that direction? We're interested.
Yeah.
You know what people don't talk enough about is the Treylon Burks trade. Like, you want to talk about catastrophic failures? You traded A.J. Brown to essentially draft Treylon Burks. That's embarrassing.
Yeah.
The Titans don't get enough shit for that.
You found out day one he had debilitating asthma, and then he got fat. It's like, shit.
Oh, this would have been good information yesterday.
Like, what in the hell?
I think if there's going to be a book written on how the Eagles got to be this just behemoth of roster gathering, like talent gathering they've done over the last few years, and it's largely on the backs of like incompetent general managers all the way around. It has nothing to do with like anything other than they basically just preyed on the weak and just like totally took advantage of them. Like Howie Roseman, I think he should be on like an offender list because he just took advantage of people. And I think they should just watch. He should be the little dot on your computer screen when you're looking at where the offenders live, and he should be there.
You go into any war room in the NFL and they've got all these like lists of their potential prospects and all the receivers and tight ends that they want to land. And then you walk into the Eagles and it's like a list of just the dumbest GMs in the league. And they're like, all right, who's the next victim? Who can we call? That's just all they talk
vulnerable.
about. Yeah.
Oh my God. Speaking of vulnerability, let's talk about the Jets because Justin Fields signed a 2-year, $40 million deal to play for the New York Jets. Why?
Here's the thing. You guys are going to hate me for this.
Okay.
I got no rationale. Like there's no evidence. I feel very optimistic about this.
Why?
For some reason.
Did you not watch Justin Fields play when he was with the Bears or when he played the preseason with the Steelers or even the first couple games? It was not good, Scotty. He's a glorified running back.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel it. I feel something in my
Honestly,
bones. It's a different bone than the Kyle Pitts bone, so I trust it a little bit more.
Honestly, that makes as much sense as anything else we hear in the NFL. I think everybody tries to like pick and they have all their reasons why it won't work. Like I think that's a good feeling. I also think he kind of looks good in those colors. That's my only takeaway from this is that color scheme I think works well for him. That's it.
Okay, but if you're Breece Hall or Garrett Wilson, you got to be wanting out. Is that fair to say?
I think Garrett Wilson wanted out anyways.
No, he did.
Yeah.
So now he really wants out.
No, I mean, you're not going to get the ball because Justin Fields can't throw with the shit.
Yeah, but you don't have Devontae Adams and you don't have Aaron Rodgers there. So now Garrett Wilson is like the de facto boss of the locker room. And I think he's going to be re happy. He's going to be
if I'm Garrett Wilson, I come up with whatever Treylon Burks had, asthma. Like we just run with that and just sit this one out this year and just be like, I'm going to save my legs. Just tell your agent to start looking now. Like I'm just going to save my legs this year.
Demand a
I'll be
trade.
Ready.
Golly. Super Bowl winning quarterback Kenny Pickett In what in the actual fuck are the Browns doing news? They trade a 5th-round pick and Dorian Thompson-Robinson to the Eagles to acquire Kenny Pickett. Is there a chance that we see Kenny Pickett rolled out by week 4 as the starter? I mean, probably even sooner because Deshaun Watson hurt himself. But like,
he's
is Kenny Pickett
going to start?
He's going to be starting quarterback for the Browns.
Yeah, that's your starter.
That's oh my god.
It was either that or DTR, and give away a 5th round, and you get Kenny.
I'd rather keep DTR and you keep your picks than Kenny Pickett.
It does feel like DTR is fine for what they need him to do. I don't know. Maybe the Browns GM is at the top of the list, and the Eagles war room.
Well, yeah, he's got to be.
Yeah, he has to be up there. I think. Okay, fine. We're going to take a page out of Scotty's book, things that don't make sense but rationale. Kenny Pickett has small hands. Could you imagine him giving like a massage in the locker room with his small hands? Like Deshaun's going to be
Deshaun's going to make a mess.
This honestly might be
Tucker
a move
everywhere.
I was going to say, well, this might actually be a move to be like weird him out enough by massages so he'll stop doing it. So this is actually probably a long play by the Browns to say, we're going to give you, you're going to get a massage from Kenny Pickett, and you're going to think he's going to have man hands, but he's going to have lady hands, and it's going to throw you off forever because now you're going to think of every small hands you feel is going to be Kenny Pickett with his hair and him.
It's going to be a little Morgan Wallen.
Maybe this might actually save Deshaun Watson because now he's no longer going to want those massages. Like this honestly is a genius move now that I'm talking through this live in front of you. Like this feels right.
That's the perfect spin zone here.
And it's honest. They've had so many issues with their quarterback being too interested in women. And so maybe they were like, okay, which quarterback
Kenny Pickett's got long hair.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, Watson might get confused.
I'm saying like if you had to pick a quarterback that you feel like maybe gives you the least high chance of doing some inappropriate shit with women because maybe he doesn't like to talk to women, Kenny Pickett might be that guy.
So he plays like
that
a
guy
dual
doesn't
role?
That guy doesn't look like he's going to get us in much trouble. With
So
the
he's
ladies.
not going to get in trouble, and they're doing like a scared straight with Deshaun Watson at the same time. Honestly, that's kind of genius.
Kenny Pickett. It's in his contract. He's got to touch everyone with his baby hands.
Deshaun most of all to get him to stop him from going to the masseuse.
You like massages now? Huh?
No.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Let's move over to wide receivers. This is kind of an interesting one. Xavier Worthy. It was announced on Friday that Chiefs wide receiver Xavier Worthy was arrested and booked at Williamson County Sheriff's Office on criminal charges for assault against a family or a household member by impeding their breathing. The charges have been dropped.
It was all a lie. Slander.
But
you participated in the slander on Twitter, on X.com.
Yeah, you're the first one to like fakenews.com. You're just like, oh, look at everybody.
It's disgusting what you did.
no,
Didn't have
he
all
did
the
get
facts.
arrested. That's
you
true.
Didn't have all the facts.
You said the Chiefs really know how to pick him. Like he's guilty. He's not guilty.
I didn't. Did I say the Chiefs know how to pick convicts? No, I just said the Chiefs know how to pick them.
That was insinuated.
Oh, true. Oh, it was a compliment. Oh, never mind.
Yeah,
the
it was
Chiefs
him and
know how to
Rashi
pick 'em.
Rice. Yeah.
They know what they're doing.
They know what they're doing. Yeah.
They pick good guys.
No, I mean it goes back to the whole Justin Tucker thing where it's like, okay, yeah, he's probably guilty, but we do have to treat it with a little bit of respect. And this is exactly why, because bitches be crazy sometimes, and sometimes they just make shit up. And you gotta account for that.
Hold on. I am a Chiefs fan. Tucker was never arrested. He was just accused of being a weirdo and ejaculating on massage tables. That was his whole thing, which in this case, I would have rather had that than having my wide receiver get arrested.
You would have rather have that over.
No,
there's no
Yes, I
chance
would.
I'd rather have a player on my team.
I would like to know that the players on my team can ejaculate well. Like honestly, that's a good thing to know.
They have strong seed.
The only thing I know this was like really bad, and obviously the charges were dropped, and there's obviously we don't know the whole story. Stuff happens, whatever. Like the thing that I thought was funny, and I don't know why I thought this was funny, but it said by impeding their breathing, and I was thinking of ways like you could impede their breathing but not choking them, just like it's like covering their mouth a little. I don't know. I was thinking of like weird things you could do to impede their breathing.
Fingers in the nose.
Yeah. Like, what is the most off the wall way he could have impeded her breathing? That's all I thought of. I didn't even think of choking. I was just like, that's a weird way to put choking.
That is a weird way to put
That's
choking.
like lawyer speak.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
But
He's
I
innocent,
guess
though,
that
probably.
I guess in this, yeah, I mean, they didn't press charges. The DA had nothing to go forward with. I think there was the story that we heard was the numerous people that were there witnessing it said that Xavier Worthy had his hair ripped out. He was scratched. They had all this video, like photo evidence of like him obviously being assaulted. So not that it makes what he did right. I don't ever think you should put your hands on a woman. That being said, like these domestic issues are often super complicated, as they always are. And so then here we are with
What's going on at his house? I mean, like, why do you have that in your home?
Fight Club.
I mean, that's what it sounds like.
I don't know.
Yeah, well, from what I read from the lawyer's statement, he was trying to get her to leave, and she was not leaving. So that's what his camp is saying, that she was being obviously belligerent and crazy and stuff and was attacking him, and then she basically falsely accused him of attacking her.
And then he
But
put
that's what his lawyer
fingers in her
says.
nose so
Yeah.
she couldn't breathe.
He said,
then
"Get
there
out,
we go.
bitch."
Scotty, can you give me the sound, please?
Bow, 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 bow.
Mac Hollins signs a 2-year deal worth up to $10.4 million with the New England Patriots,
Perfect.
which I'm fine with.
I actually don't
I-
hate that.
I don't either. Mac Hollins, as long as he keeps walking around barefoot, I'm here for it.
No, I don't like.
Yeah, he's a weirdo.
He's
is
a
weird.
fucking weirdo. He's
You're
like
watching
he's like
CTE in real time.
he's a hippie.
Yeah, but did you see him with his beach get out? The man's ripped.
Well, yeah,
Well, yeah.
He's
He's a
jacked.
professional athlete.
he's a top tier.
Not all professional
athlete, but
athletes are ripped.
Okay, not a lineman.
Look
or
at James
kickers.
Harden.
Okay, that's
He,
true.
James Harden gets ripped, and then he lets go, and then he
Then
gets
eats a
ripped
couple
again.
double cheeseburgers. A lot of double cheeseburgers.
You see him dunk the other day, and there's a video of James Harden just driving the lane and throwing one down, and people are like, "Oh shit, I didn't know you could still do that." And then the camera panned over to former President Barack Obama sitting on the side of the court, and he was just like this, just like totally unamused. It was very funny.
I love NBA talk.
Yeah, on an NFL podcast. Hollywood Brown. He, due to all of the Chiefs wide receivers being in jail, the Chiefs signed Hollywood Brown to another 1-year deal worth up to $11 million. I actually like the signing. We didn't really get to see Hollywood last year due to injury. And so I think this was a big win for the Chiefs, to be honest with you. I think Hollywood Brown is a talent. And like I mentioned, we really didn't get to see that during the regular season because he was injured. So you got him again on another 1-year deal, kind of another 1-year prove-it deal. I like this move a lot, and I think this helps solidify. I mean, all jokes aside, we still don't really know if Rashee Rice is going to face any legal charges for what he did. Xavier Worthy sounds like he's probably okay, but your wide receiver room certainly needs some help, and Hollywood Brown, I love that signing for the Chiefs.
If they're all healthy, I'm perfectly happy with this wide receiver group. Like you got Rashee Rice, you got Hollywood, you got Xavier Worthy. Like this is it's a good group. We didn't get to see them last year at all. And honestly, like the sort of sunny side of the situation where he was injured for most of last year is I expect him to have a good performance, and if the Chiefs wanted to retain him after having a really good year, it would have cost a bunch of money. And so,
Yeah.
they still made it to the Super Bowl, and now they get to retain him, and it doesn't cost that much. So, good deal.
Agreed.
DK Metcalf, he wanted to go play in a warm climate, and he went to the Steelers. So this is absolutely hilarious. I don't know if you guys know this. DK Metcalf, his number is 14. There's another player on the Steelers with the number 14. His name is George Pickens. And God, I wish I was in that locker room. Like you talk about Mike Tomlin trying to contain all the crazies. DK Metcalf he's kind of crazy. Like he gets riled up sometimes in games and stuff like that. So to have DK and George Pickens and not have a quarterback this is going to be, I think, comic relief this year for all
recipe.
NFL fans.
I wish
Give me
they had
hilarious.
a sitcom going on in the locker room. Like, we need reality TV cameras. I know Hard Knocks doesn't follow teams that made the playoffs, but they need to. Make an
Yeah, you need to
exception
make an
this
exception.
year.
Yes.
Yeah, if there's
we need to see it.
Pickens does not want to start a fight with Metcalf. That's like one person, and he's right next to him. You don't want to start a fight with.
No.
I think what Tomlin should do is just throw the number 14 jersey in the middle and just have him fight over it, and just be like,
See
"Well,
what
whoever walks
happens.
away with it gets it," and just let that be that.
DK Metcalf hands down.
Maybe that's what Tomlin's going to do to keep him under wraps. He's going to say, whoever goes the longest without doing something fucking insane, you get to wear the number 14. And it's like it's a competition that goes through the whole offseason.
I think
like
both
by
of them
week
would
2,
say
they swap jerseys.
Oh, I would just say I would say both of them aren't crazy enough that they just say F the jersey. I'm just going to be crazy.
Yeah, they both switch numbers out of
Give me no
solidarity for the
jersey. I don't
crazy.
care.
Yeah. I'll just wear pads. Tyler Lockett, he was released, ending his career with the Seahawks as one of the all-time greats for that organization. I could see Tyler Lockett getting picked up as more of like a backup wide receiver somewhere, or maybe like a third string that's kind of like just in the distance. But I don't see his career arc going anywhere from here.
Because we don't know what's going to happen with Kupp, and I know,
yeah,
you know, there's a lot there with the Rams. Obviously, they're going to go in a different direction.
Well, and they signed Devontae Adams, so I'll just mention.
Yeah. Oh, yep, we're going there. I would say like I almost want them to double dip and get Lockett too, just because just
get a bunch of old wide receivers.
Just get a bunch of old wide receivers, and then have Stafford out there, just like the oldest team you can possibly assemble.
You just call them the geriatrics, man. Like that's and Puka Nacua. He's like youthful.
Kelsey's going to request a trade midseason to go join the Rams because he's like, how old can we make this team?
The average age is like 37. Yeah, the Devontae Adams signing, that one was. I actually like that quite a bit.
It's sneaky good.
That is sneaky good. He's on a 2-year deal with the Rams. He's not getting any younger himself. They are. I think this is indicative, just kind of like what you mentioned on Cooper Kupp. I think all signs point towards the Rams trading Cooper Kupp, which I'm here for. And in the event that they don't, I don't hate that either. I do think it's most likely that he gets moved. But could you imagine Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, and Devontae Adams with Matthew Stafford? That's a recipe for disaster for defenses.
ESPN has reported that the Rams plan on releasing Cooper Kupp if they don't find a trade partner. So
really,
he's not going to be
29 minutes ago. Wow. That's good news. Thanks for telling us.
Yeah, thanks, Scotty. Yeah, that makes me, I mean, you got to imagine a team is going to be interested in Cooper Kupp. Like, but do they just, I mean, obviously not if they can't find a trade suitor, but you can't tell me a 5th or 6th round pick is still better than nothing. Like, what team would not? The Patriots need a wide receiver aside from Matt Collins. The Broncos are a really fun idea. You can't tell me the Broncos wouldn't trade a 6th or 7th round pick to get Cooper Kupp. Like, they need wide receiver help.
I wonder. The only thing we don't know is I wonder how like his health is, because he was battling some things. You don't know what he's still holding on to. Like, yes, he was good enough to play, but like, how healthy is he? And I bet that has a big determining factor. And Adams and Kupp, I think, are like the same age, which is crazy to say.
Are they? I don't think.
I think in my mind, they're like Devontae Adams is like light years older, and so when you look at them as assets, you know, I think they're either the same age or a year off. But I know
Cooper Kupp's
is
31, and Adams is 32. So yeah, the Chargers could use Kupp.
Yeah.
I also don't like how we've reached the age. I know, Alan, you reached this a little bit
Dude,
ago. But we've reached the age now where we're like, this wide receiver's barely able to run. Like, he can't even do anything. And then he's younger than me, or he's my age.
Okay, I was going to say this earlier. I didn't, but I'm happy you brought this up because we were talking about Von Miller. And Slap said, oh, Von Miller's pretty old. And I was like, how old is Von Miller? He's 2 years younger than I am. And I'm like, oh, Christ.
He's what, 36?
He's 35.
35?
And I'm like,
Old.
Yeah, you're almost dead, Alan.
I'm about to check into a nursing home.
You're almost dead.
I'm almost at the end of the game.
Yeah.
I wonder if I win.
It's so sad. I've enjoyed doing the show with you, though.
Michael Gallup. Oh, sorry. This isn't really news, though. Michael Gallup is going to visit with the Commanders.
Okay, that's not breaking. I think we need to level
Well, it
set
just
what
popped
breaking news is. Like, it actually has to happen. Like, sources considering, talking to, thinking about going with this person. Like, that can't work. It's got to be actual
Also,
something else.
I'm just going to say, I don't think Michael Gallup is worth breaking news.
Did you guys know that he retired?
No.
He retired at the start of the 2024 seaon, and now he's coming out of retirement.
He just
I didn't even know that happened.
Anymore.
Okay, so the news is he's coming out of retirement.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. That'd be fun.
Percentage of annual, like, if you're not a Cowboys fan, I wonder percentage like average NFL fan would know who Michael Gallup is.
I would say not a lot. I mean,
I mean,
very slim.
we know who he is.
Yeah,
I didn't know
who
he retired.
We are not in the. We're
We're above average, is what you're saying?
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah.
I've been
Look
told
at
that
us.
before.
Oh, oh my god.
nice. Good for you. Is that breaking news?
Pretty sure it was a lie. I was sad that day.
Tight ends, and we're not talking about Scotties. Tommy Tremble, the Panthers re-sign Tommy Tremble to a 2-year deal worth up to $16 million. Cool. The next one's a little bit more interesting. Mike Gesicki, the Bengals sign Michael to a 3-year deal worth up to $25.5 million. Don't hate that move. The Bengals needed a tight end, and Gesicki's okay. He's not a world breaker, but he's
pretty good. I would say he's above average. He's above.
I would say that. The one that kind of, I don't want to say surprised me, but kind of sort of surprised me, Zach Ertz. The Commanders signed Ertz to another 1-year deal worth up to $9 million with incentives. So Ben Sinnott fantasy owners may have to wait another year. This one kind of makes sense. I admittedly, when the Commanders signed Zach Ertz originally, I was like, oh, and this was prior to watching Jaden Daniels. I was like, this is not great, because Ertz is kind of on the tail end of his career, and he showcased that he's still got gas left in the tank, and he did decently well. So I'm not surprised by this signing. I think it kind of makes sense because Ertz was a weapon for Jaden Daniels, and obviously they've got Debo there. They have Scary Terry. I like this deal. And it's a 1-year deal, so it's not breaking the bank, and you secure a good tight end for another year, another weapon for Daniels.
Yeah, I'm excited for the Commanders. I know, like, it's
They're
hard to
moves.
when you're in the NFC title game, like, there's not really much further you can go because it's hard to get to Super Bowls. So, but I'm excited for them during the regular season. I think this team's going to have some juice and some pop, and I think Ertz is a good little security blanket there. Him and Debo are going to be really nice underneath. Honestly, like, I think this
if
is
Debo
gonna be
can stay
really,
healthy,
really good.
which Scott kind of talked about in a prior episode.
Yeah.
And I think that holds ground. Is just the way that Debo plays is not great for his body. So
the good news is they got options there. Jaden Daniels spreads it around a little bit.
They do. Is there anything else we missed, gentlemen?
Hold on, let me refresh. Did we go through the whole list already?
Hold on. Scotty's going to tell us who unretired shortly.
No, there hasn't been any updates as of 3 minutes ago. What are these people doing? They get paid for this?
Yeah,
I'm gonna guess,
I think
yeah.
so.
Crazy.
No, this has been wild, man. This has been a wild few days. A lot of people moving and shaking. We're not done yet, so everybody listening or paying attention, there's going to be a lot. There's going to be a lot going on, a lot happening. Hopefully, nobody moves from our March Gladness jerseys. Hopefully, nothing ever happens with any of those, because then we're really hosed.
Yeah, that would be bad. What signing or trade or anything that we have on our list? What is your favorite one? We'll start with you, Alan.
Ooh, my favorite one. It's not sexy, but honestly, Tunsil to the Commanders. I know we're kind of on a Commanders love fest here at the end. I actually really like that. I think surrounding that young, like, you got a young core there. I think surrounding them with just more veterans, just getting more solid pieces. I think that's what the Ertz thing was. But I think Tunsil to the Commanders is kind of a sneaky good move. It's not sexy, but that was one of my favorites.
Okay, Scotty, and it doesn't have to be like a favorite signing. It could be like the thing you hate the most as well.
Oh, it could be the total opposite of what you said. What
Yeah.
you mean? Okay, that's good to know. No, it's got to be DK. I am really looking forward to all the headlines that come out of this locker room, and I'm going to be very disappointed if they just get along. Like, I just want there to be chaos.
They're just best friends and have fun.
Yeah, that's going to be so annoying.
I was going to say DK is my favorite, but I will pivot over what I hate the most and just don't. I genuinely don't understand is the Kirk Cousins one. I really don't. Like, that to me is just, it's mind-boggling. And if you're a Falcons fan,
I bet you he gets moved. I bet you he gets moved.
you have to move him.
They just said not right now.
I think
which
they
is
just
like
looked
something I
at
say to my kids.
they looked at both of their injury histories and were like, if we keep them together, they're like almost one complete human that isn't going to die.
If we stitch them together,
Yeah,
they'll be pretty good.
I think they're like, yeah, we can manage with 2 half people.
I think the one shout out I want to give us as we head out the door is, I know a lot of people had said it, but I know we talked about all year, like, Sam Darnold, somebody's going to overpay, somebody's going to do it.
Yeah.
Who's going to do it? And I think
I didn't expect the Seahawks.
I didn't either, especially with Geno being there. Like, I think that's a net. I think you just lost, and you paid more than what you could have spent on Geno. So, like, all through and through, it's all very confusing.
Well, and let me pull this up here because it begs the question. I want to say, I think Geno had 1 year left on his deal, I want to say, when he was with the Seahawks. So you almost kind of traded tit for tat as far as like you just bought another like gap quarterback is kind of where my mind is at, and this is loading very slowly. But I want to say Geno was on like either the last year, coming up on the last year, and next year on the end of his contract, and then they would have had to repay him. Now, depending upon how he plays this next year, maybe they could have got him at a discount. But I largely kind of agree with you as far as I think overall you net loss in this one. Like I'd rather have Geno. I think we'd all rather have Geno than Sam Darnold. And what do you see in Sam Darnold that is going to give you the leg up over what you had with Geno, given the fact that he's still, the contract is indicative that he is still a bridge quarterback?
Especially like if you consider what they're doing this offseason, like it would make way more sense for them to go sign Jameis Winston or DTR or like someone like that, like someone who, can play, but you're not going to spend a ton of money on, and the plan is rebuilding. And instead, signing Sam Darnold coming off the season he had, like there's like this weird feeling that you're like, we're betting on him to be awesome. I don't know.
He turned into everybody thought he was at the end of the season. He turned into him. He did what everybody thought he was going to do all season at the very end. And it's like
Geno Smith is a free agent after this year, unless the Raiders re-sign him.
Yeah.
Did you not sign a 2-year? Oh,
I don't
he hasn't
believe
signed
so.
Anything.
No, he hasn't signed anything. So, like, after this year with the Raiders, he is an unrestricted free agent, which I think is almost even worse. Because now you traded picks to go get a guy for one season, which I like. Go get Jameis Winston. Go get Jameis Winston. And if Jameis Winston isn't a starting quarterback this year, given the open vacancies, you are a terrible front office. Because in the very least, Jameis is going to be fun. He's going to sell you some jerseys. The Titans should go get Jameis Winston instead of Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, hold on. I saw there's no news about Jameis as of now, but I saw this thing that was speculating about his possible landing spots.
Let's just stay on live until Winston gets
We're going to be recording.
We don't go anywhere.
Weeks.
We don't go anywhere.
If Jameis Winston doesn't get signed, I'm going to be pissed.
He's going to get signed somewhere. Probably as a backup, though.
Got it. Which is fine. Or just sign it like the Titans. Would you? Okay, genuine question. Would you rather have Jameis Winston as your starting quarterback or Aaron Rodgers?
What are the goals of my team?
Yeah.
If you're the Steelers, who would you rather have?
Steelers.
I don't know, but I have breaking news.
Oh.
The Cowboys are signing running back Javonte Williams on a 1-year deal.
Oh. Where are you getting your breaking news from? How come I'm not getting this one?
Scotty's in the dust over there.
This is bullshit.
You okay?
Yeah, I just got the Matt Collins one, too.
You okay?
Yeah, you're behind, bud.
I have Schefter
CBS
texting me
is
directly.
garbage. Damn.
Ask Shefty where the rumor is for old Jameis.
Okay, I'll text him.
text him.
Hold on.
We'll just sit here in silence until we get a response.
I don't
hold
know
on,
if I
hold
like
on,
that
hold
for.
on.
I mean, he's cheap. Javonte Williams is cheap.
Yeah, I mean, it was
But-
like a $3 million, I think is all it was. So.
I see that. But like, why would you not draft Ashton Gentry?
They might still.
They should. They should. 100%.
As we learned from the draft last year, the plans only go so far. Planning is guessing. So
I mean, it
you
is
can
Jerry
plan
Jones.
for who you want to draft.
It is Jerry Jones.
I think Ashton Gentry's good, and we can talk about this more in another episode. I don't know. I don't see it necessarily. As
They
you're
need a
gonna
run
go
game
like
though.
Yeah, but I think you can, like we've seen before, like you don't have to go in the first round to do that, or second round even. Like you can wait. You can wait a while to get what you need.
Yeah.
I don't think he gets you any closer.
You clearly
I mean,
didn't watch Saquon Barkley. You forgot that he reset the running backs.
Yes, Saquon, yes. Unless
Jahmyr Gibbs was a first-round pick, and he's lighting the Lions up on fire. Granted, it's a two-headed beast with Montgomery, but that was a good signing
I
for them.
think Genty, watching him, seems like he might be a generational talent. And I know we say that about a handful of people every year, and it almost is never true, but
he's going to go in the first round.
I think so too.
There's no way he slips out of the first round.
And I think
at
he
all.
might end up being this year's Jahmyr Gibbs, like just someone who's just fucking awesome.
the Bengals are also bringing back. This is older, but I didn't see
Samaje
Samaje was
Perine.
going back.
Yeah, I saw that. I just didn't put
They
it
can have
in the newsworthy.
You
notes.
should have. It was newsworthy.
Well, I mean, yeah. All right, answer
Still
my
have
question and then let's go.
judgment.
If you were Mike Tomlin, would you rather have Aaron Rodgers or Jameis Winston?
As a life partner, or
We'll do as a life partner for 1, and then for 2 as a quarterback, starting quarterback.
Jameis Winston, I want as my life partner, and then give me Rodgers just as my quarterback for a year.
I don't know the answer to that. I think Jameis. I think
For which
Jameis. Both.
Okay,
Both.
life
Well,
partner and
I don't know.
starting quarterback.
I don't know. Aaron Rodgers, I think, would make my life pretty interesting. I would be
We're
doped
playing-
up all the time.
We just play fuck, marry, kill or whatever with just those two.
Yeah.
Just those two.
You have to pick. You
I'd
have to
like-
do
I'd like
two
to be
things
in
to
a-
one of them.
Polygamist relationship with both of them. Can you imagine just coming out into your kitchen and Jameis Winston and Aaron Rodgers are just there deep in discussion?
That
That would be
conversation,
awesome.
I would love.
What are they
I would pay
talking
money
about?
to watch. That's what I would pay money to figure out. It's like, what do you two talk about? And Scott
Aaron
would-
Rodgers is
okay.
trying to give him some some deep philosophical lesson, and Jameis is just sitting there like, or whatever he does.
I think Rodgers would learn a lot from Winston, because I think Rodgers has to go on these ayahuasca trips to get to where Winston head is always at. That's that's just like, if I'm going to whiteboard it, that's just what I think.
No, I think that's fair.
He's just always in another dimension in that brain of his.
That's what I think. It's like in a great dimension.
Aaron's probably jealous. He's like, I got to travel halfway across the world to get this experience, and Jameis is just living it every day.
Yeah.
I just picture him in your kitchen.
Subscribe on YouTube if you want to
So
see and not just
stupid.
listen to those noises.
So stupid.
All right,
dumb.
that is all the time we have. Let's get out of here. Once again, it's March Gladness, baby. We're bringing gladness and joy to the Brainiac community. This week, we are giving away a free signed DJ Moore jersey. It is not hard to enter at all. All you got to do is follow us over on Instagram, like the post that has the DJ Moore jersey giveaway, and then share it on your Instagram. It is that easy. And make sure you're following us as well. And then you will get entered to win a free signed DJ Moore jersey for week 2 of March Gladness. And next week, we will be giving away another free signed NFL jersey. Gentlemen, I appreciate it. It's been a hoot and holler of a time, and it is now time for us to go. So let's get out of here. We
are
out.
If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you tune into our new releases every week on your favorite podcast app. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and check out leatherbrains.com for all of your fantasy football needs. And remember, Brainiacs, a championship should be more than a fantasy.